Hello and welcome to the CISO Experience back here on InfoSec Live. Over the past two series, this show has reached more than 500,000 views and brought together a whole community of over 13,000 subscribers. So a massive thank you for continuing to support and grow this conversation. I'm also delighted to share that this new series is proudly sponsored by Simple Security, who are on a mission to make enterprise-grade security simple, transparent, and accessible for business of all sizes. Okay, pitch done. Whether you're an aspiring CISO, a seasoned professional, or simply curious about the realities of modern cybersecurity, you're going to find practical insights, honest conversations, and plenty of inspiration right here on InfoSec Live. And today I'm honored to be joined by Zach Lewis. Zach's a seasoned IT executive and award-winning CISO with his career spanning strategic IT management, cybersecurity, risk mitigation, and budget oversight. He successfully balanced the dual responsibilities of CIO and CISO at a private higher education institution, leading transformative initiatives that strengthen defenses whilst supporting strategic growth. His leadership goes well beyond technology. He's negotiated major vendor contracts, managed multi-million-dollar budgets, and chaired the Enterprise Risk Management Committee, all while delivering both operational efficiency and cost savings. His achievements have been recognized with 3 Cyber Defense Magazine Top Global CISO Awards and the St. Louis Nonprofit CISO of the Year. A graduate of the FBI CISO Academy and currently VP of the St. Louis InfraGuard chapter, Zach continues to share his expertise widely, whether at conferences, in classrooms, or through, what you're going to hear later, his upcoming book, Locked Up: Cybersecurity Threat Mitigation, Lessons from a Real-World Lockbit Ransomware Response. And that's coming in January 2026. We'll hear more about that. Want to make this interactive, so if you've got questions, please drop them in the chat. I'm going to stop rambling on and bring Zach on. Welcome.
Hello, Simon.
I hope I did you justice there.
Man, it was really good. It was almost too good, I think. It was a lot.
as long as I covered everything. You've done such a lot, right? This is the thing. It's one of the longest intros I've done because you have achieved such a lot. So look, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. We're going to talk about your book in a little while. But before we do that, I think one of the reasons we've had so many views and subscribers to this show in the past is they kind of get to hear a bit about your journey, the leadership's journey, how it's influenced you, and you know, kind of insights into what's going on in the market and your career at the moment. So let's dive straight in. And the first question I've got, and I'm sure a lot of other people will be thinking the same thing, you've held both CIO and CISO roles simultaneously. One, how on earth do you do that? And two, how did that dual perspective shape the way that you approach cybersecurity leadership?
Sure. Well, first, I want to say, hey, I'm glad the CISO Experience is back. This is one of my favorite podcasts to catch. So to actually finally be on it and not just watching it is pretty exciting. That aside, you know, thinking about the dual role, I mean, I think it takes a little bit of it might be unluckiness for that to sort of happen. I'm not sure if it's good luck or not, but you know, I was a CIO first, coming up through the ranks, IT infrastructure side, networking, system administration, and then at the current institution I'm at, I've been here about 5 years now, and realized that when I came on, there was no security program, right? Didn't have a security team. I mean, security was sort of baked into some of the departments, but not really thought about as a whole. So started trying to build that from the ground up. Processes, procedures, you know, get some tools, frameworks, educate people, try to get a team, and really just lay that foundation. And while doing that, made the pitch that we needed a CISO to sort of run this. And the university was like, we don't have the money for another C-level, so how about you do that too?
Well volunteered, Zach.
Yeah, voluntold maybe. So took that on because I have a problem saying no. And here we are running both areas, which I mean works in some ways. We don't have to fight for budget so much, and I can tell people to worry about security, and they have to listen, and we all kind of just work in harmony together, and it just works out.
I love that, and something you just said there. You struggle to say no. I mean, I don't believe that for one. I think every leader that I've spoken to who's seen the success you have, it's one of the hardest lessons we have to learn is the art of saying no, isn't it? Because if you're like me and you're a bit of a people pleaser, It's natural, isn't it? So it took me, I reckon, 20 years to get to the point in my career. I mean, I'm quite a bit older than you. 20 years to get to the point where I could actually say no to people without feeling bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's a stigma in IT and security of the department of being no. And one of my CISO peers out this way, Randy, used to say that we're not the department of no, we're the department of KNOW. So you need to be the department that knows how to fix the problems and help with those. And I think that's a really great quote that I've just always remembered.
I'm going to steal that. Okay. Next question then. What first drew you in to this profession? I mean, we've talked about the roles that you've done. Talk to me about how you came into the industry, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, coming in from the IT side and seeing there wasn't a security platform and knowing we needed something spurred me to start being the one to sort of investigate that and figure out what we needed. So a lot of reading. This was probably early 2020, like during COVID. So everyone, gets sent home. We're all remote, and I take that time to brush up on some light reading and do some certifications and stuff, and just try to figure out what the security space is all about. I mean, I think there's always been something there within me outside of the cybersecurity realm that just cared about being prepared, having a plan B, thinking through resilience and making sure we're always going to, like, my family's always going to be okay and taken care of, and so that translates kind of into that cybersecurity world where you just do the same thing for your business or your organization and always have a plan B, C, D, and try to make things as resilient, as reliable as possible.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, let's talk about some challenges. I mean, it's definitely a challenging time globally at the moment, but let's hone in a little bit and be a bit more specific than start worrying about the global catastrophes that seem to be unfolding before our eyes. From your experience in higher education, what are the biggest challenges institutions face today with regards to cybersecurity? I mean, you've alluded to one of them, I think, already, which is a big budget.
Yeah, I mean,
challenges.
Higher ed's in an interesting bubble right now. Outside security aside, I mean, I think looking at it holistically, you have less students interested in going to higher education, so you're seeing lower enrollment numbers, which in turn creates lower budgets and lower amounts of revenue coming in. You have higher tuition costs, so that's kind of pushing people away and not being interested. We have a lot of federal regulation and changes happening right now around grants and financial aid funding. So sort of like a perfect storm gathering there. It's almost similar to the housing boom that happened in the mid 2000s there, where the housing market kind of collapsed. I don't think we're going to see a bubble pop, but I think a bubble with the air being slowly drained out of it as it shrinks down is going to come into play. But I mean, from the cybersecurity side, I mean, higher ed is probably arguably the second or third most attacked vertical industry. A lot of phishing emails, lots of ransomware attacks. We have a lot of PII, we have student data, we have social security data, we have finance data, research, I mean, healthcare information, being a health sciences university. So we kind of run the gambit in terms of data, and with budgets light, attackers realize that, hey, this is a great place to go in and hit and try to steal that information.
And I don't know if it's anything like it is here in the UK with regards to public schools and their infrastructure. Be careful what I say here. My wife works at a high school here in the UK, and she works in their pastoral team, which is basically looking after the more vulnerable children. And the IT infrastructure isn't great, so security is kind of non-existent, if I'm honest, from what I've seen. I mean, there's a couple of bits when they get onboarded. You fill in a questionnaire, but that's about it. There's been nothing ongoing, and like you said, all that sensitive data is terrifying, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think like grade school, high schools are way worse than higher ed is, and education as a whole is really bad. But yeah, those grade school and high school kids, for sure, the infrastructure there is incredibly old. They got usually one guy taking care of a whole district, which might be 6, 7, 8 schools. Yeah, it's taxing, and the money's just not there, either to get quality people or quality products.
Absolutely. Outside of the education sector, whether it's the money isn't there or whether it's because these people thought they'd be okay. Jaguar Land Rover here in the UK, you've probably heard, the last few weeks have been hit by a cyber attack. Their operation is completely shut down.
Sure.
all their car production, everything. They're now saying that it's likely to be the 1st of October before they get back up and running. If they get back up and running, they're hemorrhaging between 7 and 10 million a day. But the real pain for me is the supply chain around it is built up by loads of small to medium businesses who cannot afford, it's very much one day to the next when it comes to them surviving. I really worry about what the impact down the line is going to be. I mean, they projected if this goes on for Jaguar Land Rover until November, that it could cost them as much as $3.5 billion. So this has all been coming out the last 3 weeks. And then today there was an article in the paper. Apparently they didn't have cyber insurance either.
Man, that's wild to think of, that a company of that size wouldn't. I mean, were they self-insuring?
Apparently, and again, I should say allegedly, because it's just been in the British press today. I don't know how true it is. They were in the process of going through an application for cyber insurance when they got hit.
Man, yeah.
I mean, but for a company that size to let that lapse is terrifying, really.
Yeah.
But the more terrifying bit for me is if you believe everything you read about the people who are doing all these retail attacks in the UK at the moment, is that people are convinced they're not sponsored by a nation state. And it's going back to how it used to be when hacking first came about, where there are kids doing it for kudos.
Yeah.
On their Slack groups and their Discord channels. I mean, oh my goodness me. If that's where we're getting to, we're in trouble, aren't we?
I mean, it's really bad. There was an article not that long ago talking about people, like cybersecurity people in the industry, actually turning to cybercrime because they thought they could get paid more. And they were seeing them actually go and do that. I think I saw where Heathrow got hit too. There were some airports hit recently also over there, which is kind of scary too. I mean, supply chain is a huge vulnerability right now. As we become more interconnected and more of our platforms are third parties being tied into systems that are pulling data, moving it around. I mean, one hit, you could, take down 5 or 6 different places. We saw with Change Healthcare. I mean, when Change Healthcare got hit, almost every hospital in the country was suffering, or at least in the States was suffering.
I mean, the NHS got hit a few years back, and they got away lightly. But if you're led to believe the stories, they're still in there lurking around, waiting for the right moment to start causing trouble again. But whether that's true or not, Prashant, just in answer to your very tongue-in-cheek question, would Simon become a good CISO with his shaven head? Simon would not, and Simon leaves those jobs to people like Zach who know what they're doing. So
I will end up losing all my hair if I stay in it too long.
well, let's not talk about that. I've had to shave mine off because I'm receding. So, okay. Next one. So we've talked a bit about the challenges that institutions face, budget constraints, resource constraints. How do you balance limited budgets with the need to implement robust security measures? I mean, since I've been in this industry for 5 years, it does seem that a lot of the vendor tooling is very, very expensive and not suited to restricted budgets. So I'd love to know how you go about doing that.
Yeah, it's a combination of a few things. I mean, most higher education specifically are usually Microsoft shops. Your grade school, high schools are Google shops, and I think leaning into those companies and using their full platform as a suite of products makes a lot of sense. You almost have to. It's the best bang for your buck, but then you got to really look at where you're most likely going to be targeted. Is it going to be email for phishing? Is it going to be malware running on an endpoint because people are downloading stuff? Like, where are your biggest problems coming from? And I think, at least for us, phishing used to be a really big problem. So I'm going to take a little bit of that money that I have and apply it to a really good email tool that protects from that threat. And if that mitigates 70-80% of our attacks, then that's good money spent. So it's really evaluating what you have, what products you have, where do you have money, and where's the best place you can apply it to just make yourself as strong as possible, as resilient as possible.
I love that. I mean, if you didn't know about the prioritization aspect that you've been talking about, I mean, you could spend so much money on different vendor tools. You'd never have a waking moment without spending, it feels. But my co-founder, Steve, at Simple, he said you've got to get the basics right first. And you've got to watch the corners. If the corners aren't covered, you're in trouble. And I think that is just exactly what you've just said.
Yeah.
Basically, you don't need a massive budget to do it. You just need to be smart and prioritize, right?
Yeah, there's some good frameworks out there. I mean, to follow, at least get a foundation. CIS critical controls is great, and the NIST cybersecurity framework everyone's familiar with there. But just picking one, building into it, and just trying to make those incremental jumps, each year of where you can kind of bolster and strengthen. And you can look at things like MITRE frameworks and MITRE attacks and be like, where are we getting hit the most? Okay, here are the top areas that are most likely to be compromised. And again, you just strengthen in those areas.
I am not a framework, but a book. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've read that or used that before. It's one of the first books I read when I came into the industry. And it looks like, I mean, I haven't used it in a practical sense, but when it comes to finding gaps and examining where your overlap is on existing tool stacks, it looks like a pretty impressive thing. I'm not on commission from them, by the way. I don't even know the guy. Next one. You've received multiple top global CISO awards. Well, you have. What do you think contributed most to those recognitions?
The award space in cybersecurity is an interesting one. It seems like almost everyone has an award they're giving away. I take more value in some of those than others, but
I'm with you. Very diplomatically put as well, Zach, dare I say.
Right. But everyone likes a little recognition sometimes. There's a high burnout rate. There's low morale sometimes in the cybersecurity space. So if having a conference and giving out an award makes people feel better, then that's great. That's the morale boost you need, and hey, it also looks good on a resume. I'm not gonna argue the point, but there's some I care more about. You mentioned the cybersecurity magazine one, which was fun. Great conference, great group of people. I appreciate the award. I've been there many times. It's always a great event. But like I got nonprofit CISO of the year, which you mentioned in the intro. For St. Louis was kind of a big one because that's I'm here. I'm working with my peers. Being recognized in the city that you're working in is kind of a cool deal. So I appreciate that one a lot too.
I think it's super important to receive and show recognition. You mentioned it at the start, though. This industry is no different to the financial services industry I worked in for 20 years. You'll always have those organizations that make money out of selling pay-to-play awards. It's just fact. And everyone moans about them, and I've never bought one, and I never would buy one. However, they do work. From a social proof perspective, if a non-cybersecurity person is looking at a company to see whether they want to work with them and they see that they've got awards on their website, it does make a difference. So it's a little bit of a shitty trick that some people use. Because if you're not in the industry, how do you know which is an industry recognized award and which one's a pay to play? This is the thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I probably in the last 2 weeks have gotten like 7 or 8 magazine be the
I get them. I'm not even a CISO, right? You've won an award, have I?
Just $1,200 to be featured here, and it's like, okay, this is. But similar to like smishing text, or where you like have to buy a gift card for somebody, or these phishing emails, like they keep doing it because it works, right? They keep sending you these phishing emails. They keep sending you these magazine, buy to be featured here because they work and people do it, and they're making money.
It's vanity metrics, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is.
And the one thing that you haven't got, but a lot of people in this industry have got, is very large egos that need to be stroked. And I think, I'm not pointing my finger at anyone in particular, but I do think that's what they play on. They're playing on the ego. They're playing on the vanity. And you see it all the time. And it's a little bit disappointing when you see people who you've looked up to personally over the last few years then announce that they've won one of these pay-to-play awards. And it's like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, drop their names in the chat. I'm just kidding.
Don't do that. Well, you can if you want. It was Zach's idea. Just remember that, folks. Zach's idea. Okay. Let's keep exploring down this one and get both of ourselves in trouble. In your view, what differentiates an effective CISO from a great one?
Understanding the business that they work in, I think, is very important. They need to know how the company makes revenue, generates profits, who their customers are, and what's important to those customers. I'll tell you from a security standpoint, higher ed, no student here cares at all about what we do in this department, and no one is looking to see what our security program looks like before they decide to go to school here. It's just not a thing. So you have to be, we're not a revenue generator. We're not a profit generator. We can maybe help keep profits from disappearing. But
I mean, in your environment, that's 100%.
Yeah.
But in other environments,
it could be different.
It could be different. I mean, the world of field CISOs is one that I've experienced quite a lot over the last 5 years, and it's a role that I can't think of anything worse. My friend does it, and I met him this week for lunch, and he was telling me how many flights he's been on in the last however many months compared to how many days he's been at home with his family. So those people definitely earn their money, I think. Not for me.
Yeah.
Again, yeah. I'm more be at home with the family man, Zach, I think, than fly around. But maybe that's because I'm old, right? Okay. Let's look at the human side a bit, and then I want to move on to your book before we wrap things up. Most or many breaches trace back to human behavior. I'm not going to say error, just going to say behavior. How do you build that culture of awareness in organizations that may not have strong or any technical backgrounds at all?
Yeah.
Which is quite a good example of where you are, probably.
I am not as bullish on security culture as I used to be. I think we are rapidly approaching a time where a lot of where we're going to see technology that can fix human problems or human errors, whereas before we used to say there's not a tech fix for some human-related things. I think we're getting to the point where we can. Maybe that's with AI. I referenced, like email security stuff before. Like, if I can get to the point where my email protection system, something AI advanced can stop 99.99% of all phishing emails that come through, or BEC emails or something like that, and my users never see one, that is way better than any security training I can give them, because no matter how much I do for them, I have 400 employees, we have, 1,000, 2,000 students, somewhere in there, someone's going to click a link. No matter how good your training is, they're eventually going to click something. So if I can just keep that from happening, then all the better, right? So I think, still do your culture. We do when people come in and do tests against departments, we try to, social engineer them to change bank routing numbers or give us student information or different stuff. We have people try to physically come on site and get into restricted areas. I think those are really good tests to do that you can learn from and train departments on afterwards. And don't shame them, but hey, let's make this better together and make it a partnership. I think it is really good. You gotta come further than just your normal like phishing emails and trying to catch people in a in a trap, writing a really good email or something like that. It's got to be another level of that. So we try to gamify things. People win prizes if they report and follow the proper procedures, and then we offer training when they don't, and just strengthen what we can, and we'll bolster with technology where we can.
And being an education institution, I know it's higher ed, but I suppose the physical penetration test is more relevant than perhaps for some companies having the right access controls in place and making sure that people can't get into areas that they're not allowed to. It's the one reason I wanted to come into this industry, was so I could be a physical penetration tester. And I failed miserably at learning the tech bit, but I did last year get to do my first critical national infrastructure test. We did a 2-day test on some critical infrastructure here in the UK. And I've actually got another 2 days next week doing the same thing. And I would do that for free because it is so much fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
It really is. Yeah. I don't know how it would be with 2,000 students as well. I can imagine that could be quite difficult.
I just shaved this beard off and I look like a kid again, and I can,
I don't have that. Just don't have that anymore. It's gone. Okay, look, we've got 5 or 6 minutes left, and I want to talk about your book. Yeah. So, first of all, tell us about the book and tell us what lessons you hope people are going to get from it. And for anyone who's interested, it's not out until January next year?
January 6th.
January 6th. However, you can pre-order on Amazon, and the link is there. So.
Yeah, I wanted the longest title possible, so I called it Locked Up, Cybersecurity Threat Mitigation Lessons from a Real-World Lockbit Ransomware Response.
Love that.
Just adding words, keywords, really just set off all the algorithms. But no, so we experienced a ransomware attack a few years back, and I kind of documented that process as we worked through it. And I turned it into a presentation, and I talked at a few conferences about it. And I don't know, people really resonated with it. They had lots of questions. I always got lots of questions that we never could get to all of them. And I was like, man, people have a real hunger for this sort of thing. So I put it in a book really to help people navigate ransomware attacks. I mean, we see some high level breach stories in a few books and a few videos, but no one really dives into the decision-making process and everything that goes on. So I kind of detail what we were doing before it happened, what we did once we knew it had happened, and then post breach, sort of how we buttoned everything up, and decisions that were made, how we dealt with the threat actor, how communication went there, how communication went with our end users and everything, and just walk people through that. Just a giant case story told in a narrative format, and just help you, because ransomware attacks are going up year after year. And
do you know what? There is not enough sharing in this industry from professionals like yourself. So
it's a mark of shame. No one wants to do it.
No, but the fact that you're doing it is fantastic. Yeah. And I've already seen 7 people have scanned that, and another one, just as I said it. So it must be resonating with other people as well. Talk to me a bit about the journey of writing the book. So I've never written a book. If I do ever write a book, it will be issued posthumously, so it doesn't embarrass my family while I'm alive. So tell me about the process.
Man, I tell you, I've told a few people I did not like the writing process. It was just a real labor of love to get through that. But I wrote the first few chapters. I actually hired a writing coach to help me, because I didn't like writing. I had no idea where to start. This guy kind of helped me structure everything and outline and help me review stuff. And we pitched it to Wiley. Wiley loved it. And then they sent me a contract with a deadline, and I did the math. I remember doing the math on the deadline and being like, I have to write a chapter every 10 days for like the next 8 months. And I was like, that is a really tight timetable. So just started writing and got it together and got it out. But it was really forcing yourself to do something that you don't necessarily want to do. And it's like, oh, I can't watch TV tonight. I can't read that. I can't do that. I got to write this.
And I hope the children gave you all the peace and quiet you needed to do that, right?
I made a pretty good effort of waiting till they were in bed, because when I go home, I try to spend time with them. I do have 3 small children, so they go to bed around 8 or 9 o'clock. So then it's like, I go downstairs and write for 3 hours, and then go to bed and go to work and do it all again every day.
Well, you're finished now.
Yeah, it's done. Now. Arguably now the harder of the process is marketing it, but yes.
Before we go, one final question, and before I ask you that, what I'd love to do is get you back on the show when the book's released, and maybe give people a bit of a sneak peek of what there is in there, and give them a bit more of a teaser about it. I don't know if you know Steve Hindle, my co-founder at Simple. He's also been through a couple of ransomware incidents. Might be worth you two connecting offline if you don't know each other. Might be worth a chat, share some stories there. But the last one I've got for you is, if you had one piece of advice for the next generation of CISOs, what would it be?
Don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for things. I think just asking in general is really good advice. So whether it's, hey, Simon, could I be on your podcast? Yeah. Great. Hey, can I buy this tool? Hey, can I present to the leadership team? Hey, can I get that job? That's open. I think if you're a good at what you do, you're competent, you get things done, you can go to people and ask for stuff, and it's reciprocal, and it makes a really good relationship. Just asking and networking, working with your network and asking them.
Don't be scared to ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Thank you so much, Zach. Thank you for sharing your journey and your insights, and for being so open about the lessons you've learned along the way. I'm really looking forward to reading the book when it comes out. Thank you to our audience for joining us. Don't forget, a seamless segue with the QR code. Don't forget, this series is sponsored by Simple Security, helping simplify cybersecurity for organizations everywhere. The strapline is they offer you a full unified tech stack for less than $1 per day per user. So if you've enjoyed the conversation, please subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you next time on the CISO Experience. Zach, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Great. Thank you.
No, thank you. Take care, man.
You too.
Bye.